have essentially embedded in this case, there are a couple of different cases. Just I'm just going to tell you quickly. But I'm a pastor. This is in Hilchos Kohen B'Nitan, Perek Tes Zayin, Halachas Aleph and Beis. We don't have time for everything. I'm going to leave out the Kalam case. I'm just going to give you the Mishnah. Here it is. Reuben Shemacha l'Shimon Sada. Reuben sent the field. Reuben sold the field to Shimon. Bahaya Levi Dash that. Okay, so now I'm going to change this name. So I'm going to keep it like we have it, right? So we'll say so. Levi sold the field to Shimon, and Reuben was one of the witnesses on the shtar. And what happens? Subsequently, right? Reuben claims after the transaction occurs. Reuben claims that what? That Allah Kalamaisa, Levi stole it from me. Ain Shom. The Rambam passes like the no. Even though I remember again, you're going to claim, yes, I signed on it because I wanted it to go from Levi to Shimon because I feel a better chance getting my field back from Shimon and from Levi. But Rambam says, case closed. Halacha l'maisa, right? Halacha l'maisa. There's absolutely nothing to talk about once you are party to the transaction, right? Once you are a witness on that shtar, you have effectively ceded and yielded any rights that you have to claim that field as your own. However, the Rambam says, if Reuben acted as a dayan, the shtaros, he does not yield or cede any future rights. Again, going back to the distinction of the Gemara. Now, Allah Ta'ala, an aid certifies the transaction. A dayan only certifies signature. So they will say, Allah Ta'ala, don't pass like Admon in this Mishnah, pass like that. There's more, much more. Again, Hilchos Kohen B'Nitan, Perek Tes Zayin, Halachas Aleph and Beis. Take a look at it at your own. A lot more interesting what it is, but that's the halacha of it. Good. Mishnah, quickly. Mishnah, halacha b'dinas hayad. The derech sadir. Okay, it just gets better. Listen to this case. Everyone say, by the way, you ask yourself, what does this have to do with Ksubas? So first, right, that's answer number one. That's answer number one. So remember again, the reason, just so you know, in all seriousness, the reason why we're doing this is because remember, the way this parak started off were with the rulings of Admon and Hanan. And remember again, it started off with a discussion about Mizonos, that's which is Ksubas. Now let's say we're just going through all of their rulings. Watch, this is a great case. Misha, Allah says, we'll say, watch this case. Reuben goes overseas. Now Reuben owns a field. Now we'll say, interestingly enough, the case over here is Reuben's field is landlocked, which means that the only way he was ever able to get into his father's house, he had a right of way. He had a right of way with someone. So what happens? So Misha, so we'll say, so now what's the problem? He comes back to away for a while. He can't remember the right of way. Where is my right of way to get into my field? And of course, as one can imagine, none of the neighbors are being forthcoming. Right? No, because obviously no one wants to give up that. No one wants to give up that, right? So Admon Omer, Yelech Lo B'Tzara. Admon says, look, since we have to use logic, figure out what is the shortest way to get into his field, and let's assume that was the previously established right of way. The Chum say no. Yikna Lo B'Derech B'Mei Amana or Yiftach Ba'avir. You have a choice. Either go ahead and pay top dollar whoever's willing to negotiate with you, or fly. Right? In other words, right or fly. Figure out a way to fly. Right? So again, this is actually interesting. Come say, listen, Reuben, you went overseas, you lost your information. The burden is on you. So pretty much, again, no one has to do anything for you. So you're going to have to figure out a way to negotiate the top dollar right of us. That's analyzed. So my time with the Rabbanon, Shabbat Gamal, I don't understand. What's the logic of the Rabbanon? The reason why the Rabbanon's position doesn't seem to make sense is if there's one thing we know, it's that what? Reuben had a right of way. He had a right of way. Right? I'll say it's but the right of way. Even today, the right of way agreements are like you would think should be the simplest part of a real estate transaction. It's incredible how complicated right of way agreements are. It's fascinating. In any event, so the says, as far as I don't understand, obviously he has a right of way. This was his field. He was getting in and out of his field, so there was a right of way agreement. So Admon is saying, listen, logically, he's going to take in the easiest path. So just assume that's the path he had. What's logical with Rabbanon? Watch this. Don't shake it. I gave it away a little bit. I'm sorry. I gave it away. In other words, this is a landlocked field. there's 4 different people. So we'll say, what's the problem? What's the problem? The problem is, if you can imagine, when Ruben comes back, everyone says Shalom Aleichem, neighbor Kiddush, it's so beautiful. And then he goes to neighbor number 1. Was my right of way through here? No. Not here. Right neighbor 2? No, not here either. 3, 4. So we'll say, the problem is, each has the ability to deflect it to the other. So this is one of these interesting cases where we know a right of way exists, but Ruben can't figure out a way to enforce it against any one particular party. If that's the case, then again, why does Admon say that Ruben could seemingly seize the shortest right of way? Very quickly, so let's listen to this. Took 4 people who bought their own respective fields from 4 other people, or for that matter, 4 people who bought their fields from 1 person. Everyone agrees in that case, each party can deflect to someone else. So Gemara says, so keep the word is not like this now. This is this. The Chad, the Asim Klach are bought. So watch this. So we'll say, let's say, now all 4 fields, all 4 of the landlocked fields, or the landlocked fields, are all owned by 1 person, right? So you've got Reuben in the middle, and all 4 of the surrounding fields are owned by 1 person. That will say, what? Bought it from 4 individual owners. So in this case over here, we'll call him Shimon. Shimon now owns the 4 fields which surround Reuben's field, but Shimon bought it from 4 independent people. Watch this. So Admon Sarah Mikamachim Data is Tegaba. So Admon says, listen, Reuben can go to Shimon. Give me a right of way. You know that I own a right of way. We can figure out what I own it, so give it to me. She was looking at this. But Rabbanan said, listen to this. Shimon can say to like this. Shut up. If you're going to be quiet. You know, it's going to make problems for me. You're going to not see the shkir. So listen to this. Shimon can say to Reuben, here's the deal. If you want to negotiate, you negotiate. You're going to make problems. I'm going to return the land to the previous 4 owners. It's going to be owned by 4 independent people, and therefore, what they're saying, Reuben, you'll never be able to get your right of way. Why? Because each of them could deflect you to the other. So if you want to negotiate, you can negotiate. But if you're going to claim Magiali, right? Something's owed to me, I'll simply go ahead and return the land, and then you'll be stuck forever. Incredible. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry. Who's Amalu? Tell us quickly. Finish up these. So, who's Amalu? A guy says, who's Amalu? Dikla Libras. Listen to this. A guy, Reuben, is about to die. Right before he dies, he said, I want my brother to inherit a palm tree. He's giving a palm tree to his brother. Also, Yasmin, because when the say, so Reuben dies, and his sons went ahead and divided up the estate, but didn't give the palm tree to their brother. As Yosef plugged in, Rabbi Yosef Neymar, and you must listen. Rabbi Yosef wanted to say the nicest, and this is as the Mishnah. Why? What could happen? The Rona wants to go ahead and come to get the palm tree, right? And each son could say, what? Each one could say, what? No, not from my portion, from his portion, from his portion, from his portion. I mean, I buy you meat, but it's not a good comparison. So listen to this. Here's the difference. So in the case of the right of way really only does exist on 1 field. When it comes to the daughter's right to a palm tree, that is a right that involves upon all of their inheritance portions. So therefore, my Takanasai, what should we do? They split a dikla and a generation. What they should do is give her a palm tree, and then redivide the estate minus the palm tree. That's what should happen. Okay, we'll say very quickly. I'm sorry, just give me a little 1 more minute and we're going to stop. Actually, I was like, we'll stop over here for today. We'll just pick up with this very last piece of information. I tried. Okay. I was say shkoyach again. Great week ahead of us. In Eretz Hashem, shkoyach. Come on. Email the great day, everyone. All right, I will say good morning, good morning. Let us begin. Hashem, a great is it just to enter into our last week of the Sefes Ksubas. I want to go ahead and begin by thanking all of our sponsors for this morning. Should thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Tishrei, to thank Dr. Linda Weinberg, Sarah Nikki Grants, Julia, Rosina, and Eve, loving money, dedicating ensuring this month, loving money of their husband, having included Dr. Paul Weinberg, Eretz Moshe Ben Abraham David. Thank Ayala Sarasmanda, dedicating the Shurim this month in this to the Hur Shaliba for Shiramis Bas Susha, and the family we keep that Zeb is of all of our fields in this Babylon and we perform its sponsors. Avram Zeisman, the version of the Yard of his grandmother, of his grandfather, Abraham Ben Aaron, and Shane Shear, in honor of Vicky Ziva, and Elliot Shmuel and Shira Pepper, in honor of Ari Lerner, and all you guys for the show. Beautiful, beautiful. I would like to thank our Daf Yomi sponsors for today. Alan and Andrea Stellis, in honor of the Bas Mitzvah of their granddaughter, Kayla Win, which row both Torah and Mitzvahs, and Mashnafis to the entire family of others. Beautiful, beautiful enough. And also with that, let us begin very, very excited. First of all, very exciting to learn in general. And also to recognize it. It's always beautiful when there's like this confluence of events. How it is that we're finishing in the Sefta on Rosh Chodesh. So we're ending things, beginning things, closing out Chodesh Tishrei, beginning fresh month, beginning fresh month. Excitement over the Sefta. We'll say let's begin. Today, Daf is Kuf Ches 109. We are picking up in Eretz Hashem on the bottom of Kuf Ches in days 108b. 108b. We really left off. We left off yesterday after the Mishnah. So the Mishnah says as follows: A posek ma'os lefasna. It's a very interesting case. Someone promises money to his son. An age-old story. Right? So someone promises money to his son-in-law. Now, let's say in this particular case, what's unfolding over here is like this. Essentially, we're talking about a dowry. So imagine for a moment that Reuben is marrying Rachel. Rachel's father promises Reuben some amount of money. And what happens? And then the father-in-law extends his foot. So also, what does it mean extends his foot? So again, extends his foot means father-in-law doesn't pay. Father doesn't pay. So Rachel's father doesn't pay the dowry. Now look at actually just a moment. Moshe Zion the Amar. No age she'inu chashde dvarim. Tol tit she'al gabi rabbi. The rest is interesting. This communicates treasure of extending your foot. Essentially, I'm giving you nothing. Take the dirt that's on my shoes. Take the dirt. Now, both sides. Now, in general, what this sounds like is the father-in-law is intentionally not giving his son-in-law the money. But the truth is, the case doesn't have to be set up that way. That's just the way that's the Mishnah is saying. So, first of all, it's rather go here, take the dirt that's on my foot, I'm not giving you any money. The point over here is, father-in-law promised money, and now he's not delivering. So let's say, now the problem we're in is what? Kedushin has already taken place. Kedushin has already taken place. So Reuben was already Mekadosh Rachel. The Yisurim has not yet been done. Father-in-law indicates that whatever the situation is, he cannot, he will not pay the money. Once that Rachel comes to pass, Eshet Hachet Hadin Rosha, the Chachamim say, ultimately again, literally she has to sit there until her heart goes gray, which means she's stuck. Rachel's stuck. That, in other words, at this point in time, the control is in Reuben's hands, and either he should make a choice to marry her, right, or ultimately just wait and do nothing until her father pays her. After all, again, there was an agreement. There was an agreement that was made. Rachel's father was not honoring the agreement. So again, Reuben goes to a holding pattern where his father-in-law pays the agreement. Admon says, "Before the Isha Tomer, Rachel should say to Reuben, so Admon says like this. Rachel could say to Reuben, listen, I, Rachel, was not promised to money. I found him promised to money. Then you can hold me over my house. If you can hold me over, sorry, then you can essentially, hold me in this marriage until either I pay you or until I pay you. And again, Akshav, Sha'ashba Pasak, Mani the Polanasas, Okinos, Okidor. So she says, what do you want from me? My father comes to this. So you're going to hold me accountable, you're going to punish me for my father's actions. So Reuben, you don't marry me, rightly soon, or divorce me. So Rabbi says, I'm Rabbi Gamliel, Lo Ani Tivani. Gamliel says, I think Admon is correct. So your Rabbi said, fundamental mathematics. Once again, just to reframe the case. So Rachel's going to get married to Reuben. Rachel's father promises Reuben $10,000. Right? That's the junior. That's the dowry. Reuben does kiddush. Now, father-in-law says, I'm not giving you. I can't give you. I won't give you whatever. The point is, he's not giving. So now, the Chachamim say, Reuben has every right to essentially hold Rachel in this marriage until her father decides to pay. So her father decides to pay, and ultimately if he doesn't pay, so then Rachel's going to grow old in a state of Kiddushin. Admon says that's not right. It's not right. Like ultimately, again, I will say about it, even the Chachamim are not necessarily saying it's right. The Chachamim are just saying it's legal. This is technically a legal because that he has before his father-in-law's time. So Rachel says that. So Admon says that Rachel can say to her cousin, "That's not right. My father did. Why are you punishing me for the default of my father? Listen, don't keep me in limbo. Either marry me or divorce me." Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, let's go. So let's listen to what Kiai Kama. Our Mishnah does not reflect the view of the following. It's a Mishnah. It's a fascinating case. This time, I'm Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi. לא נפלתי עמוד בחכמים על הפוסק ועוז לפסלו. ופשוט לא עשה ידו, שיכול לי שכומר אבא פסק עליי, מה אני יכול לעשות. So it was very interesting. A different perspective. In this price, they're quoting the same case. But in this case, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda posits that everyone agrees in a case where the father defaulted on the agreement he made, that Reuben can't hold Rachel hostage in this marriage. That Rachel has every right to say, I didn't default, either marry me or divorce me, but don't keep me in this state. Sa'amah nefesh. So where lies the focus on Chachamim and Aaron? Al shekoske he al atzmo. I will say in the Bryce's version, when the father defaulted, everyone agrees that Reuben can't hold Rachel as a because I think this wasn't the truth. Everyone is going to agree that on a conceptual level, a man should never hold wives in a marriage. Right? That's never something that Chazal was. Why did British Baruch created the system of heat in a way which seems to give the husband much more power than the anyway, that's a question that we're going to ask her. That's the talk about question of money. And the Navi will come and will explain to us why the halacha seems to give the man the powers. But again, this is a legal discussion. So legal discussions sometimes do not get into arena of what is right. We all know this. Why we teach this to our kids. Just because something is mutter, right? Just because it's permissible does not mean it should be done. So again, we're talking about what's permissible, right? So if we come and say again, it's permissible for him to use the marriage as leverage to go ahead and extract money from his father. It's legal. It's legal. Is it right? Is it right? It's not right. Of course it's not right. So it's just important to understand that. Which I know everyone does, but sometimes it's just important. Like, the guys who get older, especially, knowing that even when everyone knows something, it's still important to say it. I know it's like, I mean, it extends, well, I mean, the person has to dissolve a marriage, but that should never, ever be used as leverage. That should never be used as a mechanism to extract something that a husband, like, it's not what Chazal, it's not what Shbar here, it's not what Chazal wants. And the truth is, nothing good ever comes from holding a wife for being, and nothing good ever comes by using halacha as a means of extortion. Okay, but back to our idea. Okay, so again, so the Maisa, Raisa has a different view on this, right? So in Raisa's version, you have Chachamim and Admon both agree that what? That Allah for the Maisa, where it was the father who made the financial arrangement with Reuven, and now the father defaults, or I must say, again, default doesn't pay whatever it is, so everyone agrees from the Rabbi Yehuda that Allah for the Maisa, says to Reuven, even marry your person, but you cannot keep me in the same person. So what's the mafocus? What's the mafocus? What happens if Rachel promised Reuven money? Okay, so before they do kiddushin, Rachel says to Reuven, "Listen, you mekadosh me, and if you mekadosh me, I'm going to give you $10,000." Okay, so now what happens? Reuven's mekadosh Rachel, and then what happens? Rachel doesn't pay. Won't pay, can't pay, doesn't pay. So let's say, now watch this. Come say, we should actually have a notion. The Chachamim say, listen, Rachel, you promise, down with this commitment. Reuben is not going to tell you to do the same with you until you figure this out. So you can go into a holding pattern over here until you, Rachel, figure out how to satisfy the obligation you are Admon Omer, Admon said, as the holding Shetomar, listen to this, you know, it's like, Admon says, so what can she say in this case? This is great. Yeholi Shetomar, Kisvura Ani Sha'abono say. She says, no. When I said I'm going to give you $10,000, I figured the same bank that has been bankrolling my life up until this point in time, right? It's incredible. No credit limits, right? No pre-qualifications, nothing. I figured the same bank that was taking care of me my entire life is going to take care of me now. So she said, I know I said that I was going to pay you, but again, I automatically assumed that it was my father who was going to go out and pay for this Medina. ועכשיו שאין אבא נוסעים עליי, מה אני יכול לעשות? So she says, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? I guess, in other words, what Rachel says, I'm not purposely being difficult over here. I never had the money to back up this promise, right? I never had the money to back up the promise. It was always going to be my father. Now my father doesn't want to pay. Don't hold me hostage in this relationship. Either marry me or divorce me. So I will say, so I just want to point out Rabbi Rothschild, the Gemara that explaining that there's two versions of this machlokes. In our Mishnah's version, right, the machlokes case is where the father of the bride, the father of Rachel promised and then doesn't pay. Chachamim say, okay, Reuben can wait, Reuben can do nothing, Reuben can go into a holding pattern until the Sheva pays up. Right? Admon says, she could say to him, this is not my fault. That's my fault. You can divorce me or marry me, but don't go and keep me in this holding state. Right? Grace now says, no. In that case, where the father defaults, everyone agrees that Rachel can tell Reuben, you divorce me or marry me, is that indeed what's the matter in this case? Where Rachel promises the money. So the Chachamim say, listen, Rachel, you made a promise, make good on the promise. You don't make good on the promise, Reuben has no obligation towards you. You go into a holding pattern. Admon says, no. When Rachel says, I made the promise, I'm giving my father, I was relying on my father. So ultimately, don't hold it against me, either marry me or divorce me. Incredible. Rabbi Rothschild says, and everyone saying the Brisa also, and he has to get Admon. Again, in the Brisa, you have Rabbi Rothschild agreeing with Admon. So let's analyze this. When is this so? When is this so? Says the Gemara. Gola. Perfect. Let's say when is all of this said? Right? I was training on the adult fresh, but with a Kitano, with a minor, we will force him. We will force him. So Gemara says, "Forcing the man, force who? Force who to do what? He labeled the have. If ultimately at the end of the day we come out forcing the father to pay off." So they say it makes much more sense to force the father in a case of the Gola than it does to force him in a case of the Ketana. Why? Because if we're talking about a case of the Ketana, promised money, right? Rachel always promised money to read it. Let's be a rapid rate of that promise. It's not there. Right? It wasn't kind of meaningless. So if you're going to be talking about a case where you're forcing the father to pay off, it makes more sense to force the father to pay off in a case where the goal of the other made a commitment. So the guy said, you may well ask, so point by the way. On the Rabbah hoping the Baal leaking yet. And the Rabbah says, no. What it means is you force the husband to give a get. So it's like, I love how I sort of by case of the Kitana. So because we look at the Kitana, we'll see how that plays out in the Rambam. Let's finish this piece. How can we go back to the Rambam? So this. So Amar Amar Rav Yitzchak ben Elazar Moshe Bechizkiah. Hamakom Shalom Gamliel Lo Ani Admon. So we're going to say now we're going back to the Mishnah. Any time that you find that Rabbi Gamliel says, right? Any place where you find Rabbi Gamliel said halacha follows Admon, halacha also. The halacha indeed follows. Arali Rabbi Rav Nachman, even the Brisa. Is that true? Even the Brisa just in the Mishnah. Now we're saying whenever Rabbi Gamliel says the halacha follows Admon, the halacha follows Admon. So is that true just to the Mishnah? And the Brisa as well. Arali Mi Kamin on the Mishnah. Did I say just the Mishnah? This is what I'm saying. I said any place means what? A Mishnah or a Brisa. Any time that the Gamliel says the halacha follows Admon, the halacha follows Admon. However, Amram Zion, based on Shana and halacha Yotzebo, right? Ultimately, so to speak, now the Zion is in the Rabbi in the two situations, ultimately again, where based on Shana Hanan Yotzebo, right? The Yochanan ben Zakkai said that the halacha follows Hanan, halacha follows Hanan. Shiva Dam Shana Admon. In halacha Yotzebo, but ultimately again the 7 cases where Admon said the halacha, and the Gamliel said that the halacha is like Admon, the halacha does not follow Admon. So that what does this mean? Even Nachman Kamer, Shnei Dam Shana Hanan halacha Yotzebo. There's an meetings like this. The two halachas that connect and brought down, and ultimately again, Yotzebo, those who pass like Hanan, the halacha follows them. The Shiva Dam Shana Admon ain't halacha Kimosel. Like Yotzebo, but the 7 cases that are brought up in the name of Admon, the halacha neither follows Admon, nor like the ones like Admon. I have Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar Moshe Bechizkiah. Rabbi Shimon Rabbi Gamliel Ron as Divrei Admon halacha Kimosel. We just said before that any time that the Gamliel said, I see the words of Admon to be correct, that the halacha follows Rabbi Gamliel, the halacha follows Rabbi Gamliel, Admon, and those who pass correct. The other half is what it means to say. They burn Shana Hanan halacha Kimosel. First of all, in the two situations where Hanan said, halacha, the halacha follows him, and those who custom like him. First of all, I say, Shiva Dam Shana Admon ain't a halacha Yotzebo. So we say that the 7 cases that Admon brought down this halacha does not follow him. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry, ain't a halacha Yotzebo, and halacha doesn't follow those who quote him. Hakim also, halacha b'kulu. It sounds like it's just Admon by himself, but the halacha would follow him. Don't have Yitzchak ben Elazar Moshe Bechizkiah. We must understand these cases, there is Admon stating the halacha, and then you have the Rabbi Gamliel weighing in that the halacha follows Admon. That's what he so we're going now suggesting maybe there's a distinction between when Admon says the halacha himself versus when you have Rabbi Gamliel coming along and saying, oh, the halacha follows him. I, the Hamar of Yitzchak ben Elazar Moshe Bechizkiah. So I, but we just said before that whenever the Gamliel says, I see the work of Admon to be correct, that the halacha follows him. So the Gemara says, Amar in, lo Amar lo. Itself sounds like the halacha only follows Admon when Rabbi Gamliel voices his support. But if Rabbi Gamliel doesn't voice his support, then the halacha won't follow Admon. Halacha goes on to say, Shnei Dvarim Shana Hanan halacha Kimosel Yotzebo. That was what it was to say. In the two situations, the two things that Hanan said that the halacha follows. Two cases where Hanan quoted the halacha, Yotzebo, others supported him. Ultimately, the halacha follows. Shiva Dvarim Shana Admon Yeshman Shalacha Kimosel Yotzebo. Yeshman Shein halacha Kimosel Elok Yotzebo. But by Admon, there are some situations where halacha reminds you of halacha will follow him. Other times that the halacha will only follow him when he's quoting in the name of others. So let's say any place where the meal said that Allah is unknown, Allah is unknown, but not necessarily in the other pieces of Adam. So we'll say, so the Gemara is essentially just trying to go back and forth and figure out, do we find the principles that can apply to the readings of unknown and not? I guess we're going to see the halacha and myself. There's no overarching principle. In fact, each of these pieces are reckoned independently. As we're going to see in just a moment. So Rabbi says, halacha and myself, let's close out the sugya. How do we pass over? So this is really a great case. Money's promised. What happened? Money's not paid. Now the only problem is at the time of default. What's the status of the marriage? The status of the marriage? Kedushin has already been done. So now we have a problem. So you're saying, if you default before Kedushin, fine. So then what? Don't get married. Everybody go home. That's it. The problem we have over here is the default happens after Kedushin before Nisur. Furthermore, two cases of default. What are the cases of default? Case A, father default. Case B, brother, daughter, wife default. We'll say Machlokas, Adnon Chachamim. Then there's a further Machlokas, Mishnah and the Brisa as to when the Machlokas applies. So I'll say here we go. Rama Baskins, Elchos Ishas, Parak Halacha Tes Zayin. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Why am I always pointing to the Rambam and not the Shulchan Aruch? So which is not going to the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch has been the same way. In general, the derech of the Rambam is that the Rambam's formulation of halacha is something much truer to the text of the Gemara. So if you just try to establish halacha l'maaseh from the Gemara, the lashon of the Rambam often tethers you to the sugya much more. Whereas the Shulchan Aruch already is a distilled version of the halacha. So again, the bottom line is say the same thing. This is what the Rambam says. There we go. Great case. Haposik Mosle plus note. So this is great. So here's how the Shulchan sets up the case. Right? So what happens? Rachel's going to marry Reuben. Rachel's father will call him Yaakov. Right? Rachel's father commits $10,000 to Rachel's husband Reuben. The Halach Ha'av L'Medina HaParas. The father relocates to another country. Sorry? Another place. He goes out, right? Yicholi Hiloma Leba. Ani lo pasaki alatzmi. Ma'an yichol lasos. O klinos kolon dunya. O katrein bigat. So those say, number one, we constantly like Admon in the Mishnah. When it was the father who defaulted, Rachel says to her husband, listen, I didn't give you it. Either divorce me or marry me. Right? But don't keep me in the So don't say that's halach and one like Amor in the Mishnah. Aval, Paski Alatzma, Olavia Yada, Alezia Yosheves, Ad Shetimsa, Ma Shepaska, or Achetas. So that's an interesting enough. Halach Lamaisa, you keep asking like the woman in the Bryce's case. If she is the one who made the commitment, then ultimately she has to figure out a way to honor it. And he has no obligation to do anything until she figures out how to honor this commitment. Also, remember again, this is where she made the commitment. Remember, Admon's out for her. Remember again, what was Admon's out for her? What was she out for her? I didn't promise. I know it was me, but I'm an extension of my father. Right? In other words, so when I say, I promise you to do my father, so that I'm not asking like the commitment in the crisis case, namely that when she makes the commitment, when herself makes the commitment to Reuben and then defaults, Reuben to keep the whole thing pattern of Kiddush and she comes up with the money. And ultimately, again, doesn't have to either marry or divorce or could wait. Once again, this is the legal moral, ethical. Should a man ever keep a woman in a relationship over money? Absolutely. Again, if she says, give me more time, I'm happy to go and try to That's fine. She wants the time. But Lamais again, this is the legal ruling, not the
Miss Aquarius.
more ethical.
How was your day?
So it says, Allah Lamaisa, Allah Lamaisa, you pass the Mishnah, therefore again, a father defaults, moving gets old rough on the relationship.
So far, so good. I slept.
Rachel defaults, he has the
And
ability to go through all
and
the
my hours are reversed, but my podcast was published, which is cool, and I'm going to go ahead and publish that on it. Yeah. And I've got another 4 more to go, so that's great. And then I'm going to try to be on some others. And last night, I have written this like 8,000 or 6 to 8,000, depending on the title. And the abstract is a very long journal entry, and I uploaded it to basically a journal associated with Oxford University. So I have to wait to see how that goes. That's a process, but that's kind of an interesting thing that I haven't done previously. Is instead of just being like a social media icon or whatever you want to consider me, I want to be an academic resource as well. So trying to get into that role.
Look at you, you're doing a good job.
I'm trying, Miss Aquarius.
That he bought from me. So Levi sold Shimon a field. Reuven says, Shimon, that field you have, that's my field. That's my field. Levi stole it from me and sold it to you. Okay, here's the wrinkle. Here's the wrinkle. The Mishnah says, you fuss him.
Doing your thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to play? Did you want to play?
Absolutely. Just give me 1 moment, and I will
And one of the witnesses on the bill
send
of
you an
sale
invitation.
is
Yes, can you hear me?
Reuven is
I didn't know.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can play. We can play.
Sale document
Yeah, breaking a little bit.
Okay, I may have to restart my device.
says to Shimon Padre the field is
You might have to
Rashi
restart it. Yeah, you might
Yeah,
have to
let me do
restart
that,
it or
and
something.
I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah, let me do that.
So let's say,
Yeah, I'll be right back, okay?
Right,
That's right. That's
hold on exactly. Right, so Reuven is claiming, he says, Shimon, the field you bought from Levi is really Levi stole it from me and sold it to you. And now we look at the paperwork and we see that Reuven himself is one of the witnesses on the bill of sale from Levi to Shimon. So what's the halacha? Admon Omer. Amos says it's not a problem. You say to Reuven, so obviously you ask Reuven, I don't understand. If the field, if Levi stole the field, then why would you agree to sign Stein Kira? Right? Why would you agree to sell the bill of sale? Amos says it's a perfect answer for this. Hashini no Achri,
This right
but you
here.
should caution him. So let's listen to
This
this.
together.
Levi is a gospel, right? Levi is a thief, right? Maybe he's a strong guy. I knew I never had any chance of getting my kid back from Levi. Shimon, I know you're a reasonable guy. You're a reasonable guy. So I figured if I could get the field away from Levi to you, to Shimon, now I have a better chance of getting back my stolen field. That's why I agreed to sign on the bill of sale so I could get it Levi's hands into your hands. Incredible. It was another reality TV that did behind this. I'm just saying, like, this is so great. This is incredible. So now listen to this. The Chum say, no, come on, cut it out. Even as if so, well, what are you talking about? Reuven, if you come forward with a claim that the field that Shimon currently has is stolen from you, that's fine. But once you're signing on to, once you're not a party, but once you're a witness for the transaction, you've lost any right to claim that this property belongs to you. Even as if so, take a look at Rashi. Actually, even as so, the whole of the chasam, hold the shit in law.
Rabbi's back. I think Rabbi's here.
Witnessing a document of sale, sale transaction.
Yeah.
Saying what?
Bear with me a moment on my other tab.
Load.
Load.
Load. Asa similar akar.
How was work?
Asa similar akar.
How was work?
So I said, look at this case. Look
That
at
was
that.
good. That was good. It's busy.
Asa.
Oh,
Asa wa similar akar. Shalom nokbal ruben zeh asar Allah.
she might
Elo
not be
lidish
in that
akar.
color.
Ayo nofes sadam
Oh, been tired, been busy,
Mitzra lo arba'os
Do you have a
sarasot.
busier time of the year at work?
You have a busier time of the year at work.
Mitzra
it's not that. It's just because
So
Thursday, so
let's
we're
say
off the
let's say
spectrum. So we have our other coworkers who help them, make their job easier. So one of the girls
right?
is having research. So it's just me and every month. Me and my son. That's why we said I'm alcohol is fine. So me and my
Let's say now,
son,
let's
we're
play
at the
this
office
movie
spectrum.
field.
So Sandra has been out
So
there
same case,
last week,
right?
Monday.
Train
Been out.
field from sorry.
She went out on last
Shimon's
week.
field from Ruvain. Right? Then there's Ruvain.
So she went out and she just has knee replacement surgery. So it's more, being busy because we have to get these badges like so like we have to pull and stuff like that. So we haven't had time to get
Right? Back of all this,
arranged because the numbers have been so tight. So we are going to start tomorrow. So I was telling Margie, just me. I said, well, we got to get these soldiers together. I said, we have to rotate. I said, I'm fine doing it by myself. I'm okay to I just so Simon said, is just Margie right now is here. We got to help them so they can get
that was
the numbers down. So it's just been busy. It's been moving.
moving
That's
itself
been moving.
paid on the bill of sale from labor to shipping.
Right. All right. I'm
So
about to send you
again,
this invitation.
so
See ya.
say that's it.
Ready.
Son reached out. He wasn't the claim.
Ready.
No, there's still another claim. You make a claim.
Riser.
It's easier for me to
Riser's mom and
back
I watched
from
a
Shimon
documentary
than it was
last
from
night
Levi. Fine.
on
Case 2
Pixar.
is
You know
Ruvain.
Pixar is,
Shimon
right?
is son of the field. Shimon is
Yes,
called to school.
yes,
Like
thing, right?
Shimon is son of the field.
PIXA.
There's another television, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Fine, no problem.
it's like the Disney. It's like the
Right,
Disney.
right. I know what it is. I'm saying. It's like
That goes next to other field. When you would identify,
Yeah, so
So they have like movies and stuff
yeah,
on it?
things like Toy Story,
and
things like
Yeah.
Toy Story,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
that is ordered
What's
by
the
units
Yeah.
A,
Yeah.
D,
So y'all had
E.
watched something off of Pixar?
We didn't watch Indigo. We watched a documentary on like how the company was founded.
The document of sale references
Get it.
orders
Almost.
on by other fields. Field
Okay.
A.
Give me this.
Field A.
Oh,
So
come
this
on.
is
That hit multiple pins. Oh, no doubt.
Would you get that?
Oh, Mr. Pierce, that was terrible.
So
You know I'm better
Field A,
than
but this
that.
means it's not being sold at all.
Oh,
It's being used
So
to identify field B, which is the
So
transaction.
How did they start? Okay.
So
Well,
what did they do?
your boy, you know Steve Jobs, the guy who invented all your Apple stuff.
A, field A, as just to identify the border of the
Oh, almost. That was really
field that
good.
is being sold.
Really good example.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Ruben signing on this document also.
He
Ruben
like had a
signing
dream
on this
to.
document.
Thank you.
In this
With
transaction,
two other guys
in this document,
to basically
so Shimon is selling
take
field
animation, 2D animation, and make it 3D with all the computer stuff.
so to speak,
And
solidifying
so
his ownership of the field.
they worked like really hard on the first,
A,
like just to even get it, just to even like start in like commercials and things like really small. It was a lot of computing power and a lot of time for these guys. And nice. And then like they recruited all these people, like designers and such, and then they eventually wanted to just revolutionize the animation industry and bring it to life.
saw Simon
And
the
so they
Hagar,
nice.
Libedes.
So their first big movie was Toy Story, and they watched that. Oh, this is the hardest one in the game.
In this case, that once Ruben saw
I've never got it.
signed on this
I'm
type
trying.
of start,
No. And so they had a lot of success with Toy Story, and then Toy Story 2, and then things like A Bug's Life, and what else did they do? They did like Incredibles, and yeah, Nice Bear.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice
let's go
Bear,
back to that
really.
first one. Great.
And
Let's go back to the first case.
just some of the challenges that they overcame, and how like they brought computers and animation together in that story. It was kind of an older documentary. It was made in like 2007, so they did. It wasn't like Steve Jobs was still alive in it and everything. And
Right? So the truth is,
and then they talked about just like when they connected with Disney, and like Disney eventually bought them. And
so we gotta stay.
like Steve Jobs owned like 51% of the stock or something like that.
But we're gonna be
So, but it's just kind of like the story of 3D animation and how that came to be.
All right, bye. So now we're focusing on case one. So once again, let's just get back to case number one. Right? Shimon purchases a field
I
from
like that
Levi.
they choose
There's a
the
document, right?
documentary
The
because
document says that Levi
normally
said
I'll choose stuff
one
on
of the
just stuff that
witnesses
interests me, which is cool. But then maybe I'll miss out on something that wouldn't normally interest me. Get it? So we've watched
So again,
recently.
Chachamim say,
We watched this one that I really like. Quentin Tarantino recommended it, and I think it's really interesting. It's called Hands on the Hard Body, which is like, you know those contests they used to have where you would keep your hand on a card for like a radio station that sponsored at a car dealership, and people would keep their hand on a card for as long as possible, and then whatever person kept it on the longest, they got to keep the card. I don't know if you ever heard of this, but they used to have these contests. And so it's like just like this snapshot of what life is like in the wrong United States for a car in the 1990s. Then we watched one on what else? We watched one on a pet cemetery. That was kind of sad. It wasn't very interesting, but it made me appreciate the connection people have with people. People have with animals. So that was interesting. We watched one on roller skating, which I know you like roller skating. It's like roller skating in the 70s, and like all the like the roller skating craze of the 70s and disco and stuff. And then we watched the Pixar one, and I wanted to watch so we've been doing that. Riser's mom, I think, is in town for another couple weeks. I don't want to take up all the time. Nice try. I don't want to take up.
Thank you.
I don't want to take up all the time. But then if you watch the documentary, and then we have a discussion afterward, and that's what I really appreciate about it. Oh, we watched another one on advertising, like with musicals, which is really interesting. And
Where'd you start?
Sure.
So there's a concept
I hope we do it again tonight. I think I have plans to, but I don't hold anybody to anything. I know people are living their lives.
I don't hold anything. Amazing brings in testimony, or brings in the witnesses, certified that is
I'm going to be nipping at your heels.
We write a little pen thing, right? We write a little document. It's all right. Document.
We need these two.
Done.
Yes.
That was a big experiment.
My focus, I
That was a big experiment. You win, I win, you win. Undefeated in bowling, undefeated in friendship. Yay! Excellent job. I like when we play early. I like when we play early.
I know, this is good. I know, this is good. Yes, I like it. I like it. I like coming home now.
Você
And I can do
when you
stuff.
witness
And I
a
just like,
transaction,
help my auntie.
like when your son is
She didn't have no
also
disrespect.
what you sign,
So we ate out somewhere out east of me. And I come home and I know what I was going to wear the next day.
I agree this is transaction. This transaction is binding
Adrian,
when you are dayan for kiyum shtaros. They will say, what are you certifying? What are you certifying?
And I got my stuff together for tomorrow.
Dayan, sometimes like kiyum shtaros. Dayanim
I like it. I can put it on my well. And it's on my mind. Oh, I know what I can do.
I'm not certifying. Kiyum shtaros, they're just simply to certify the signatures on
I'm here.
It was it's so fascinating. So fascinating. So you could have a situation like that.
You know, you always my brother, Rabbi. You know that. I'm just
requires
my brother.
the transaction.
Your
I
opinion
The
is
shtar.
don't care what
Right? The shtar locks in the transaction.
we spend a lot of time together.
So this is incredible. So they'll say,
I don't care what
yes, but Reuben was a dying
Don't worry about
trust. And now let's play this out. Right? So Levi sells the Levi sells Levi sells a field.
this is great. Don't even give
And
it
then
a
they drop a document.
Don't even give it a second.
I ain't talking
Reuben is one of
All
the
right, well,
on the basis of certified.
I hope you enjoy your bath. And let me know if you need anything in the meantime.
Enjoy your bath. By the way, it is stolen from everyone agrees in that case. Reuben has a valid claim. When we say Reuben has a valid claim, obviously saying something was stolen from you is not a claim. Right? I mean, it's a claim. What it means is Reuben now has the right to what? Pursue that claim. Right? So again, why? And everyone agrees in that case. Everyone agrees in that case. Why? Because Reuben's act is a value for King Shtaros has nothing to do with the transaction. All Reuben is doing is just saying, oh yeah, the signatures we can say we can speak, you guys recognize the signatures. Fantastic. We do sign it up, right? And then we're done. Certified. We're done. So everyone agrees. In that case, if in no way erodes his claim to go ahead and pursue the stolen, right? The stolen claim. Claim the land was stolen from him. Now, Sha'in came, when he's a witness to the actual transaction, sale from Levi to Shimon. In that case, again, part of signing on a shtar is what? What? You are claiming the transaction itself is valid. But when you say claim the transaction is valid, you can't go ahead and claim that also is stolen from you. Anmon says, yes, I can. The transaction was valid. Otherwise, yes, Levi sold to Shimon. But at the end of the day, it's my land. Good. So says the Gemara. So I saw a similar outcomes. What's the next case for Mishnah was? I remember again. Right? So same case, but let's say it's not my same case. In this case, Shimon the purchaser, or Shimon the purchase contests the property, we call it parcel A. Shimon is selling parcel B and uses parcel A to identify the borders of parcel B. Reuben himself signs on that shtar as well, and not as well, but Reuben sells on that shtar. The Mishnah says everyone agrees that after he sells on that shtar, no longer has the right to pursue anything that the land is present. That parcel is there. That's only true ultimately again. Rashi said, Rosha La'achar. Dafka Nabat Masnisin Simen La'achar. Havarasa HaMuchsat Ba Simen Yatzmo Shel Reuben. So, Oralas wasn't listen to this. That's only true when what? When Shimon is saying the parcel for someone else. Whatever that Shimon is selling the parcel to Reuben himself. Shimon is selling parcel B to Reuben. And now happens to be in that sale, Shimon uses parcel A, which is the tested property, as a border, a border identification. But ultimately, in that case, even though Ruvain, right, no Ruvain did not go ahead and lose out on his ability to retain parcel A. Why? The Amar, Idla Avdile, because he would say, I would not agree to this. So have a masculine agree. But ultimately, again, Shimon would not sell me the property. In other words, if I say, the concern over here is that if Shimon knows that Reuben is going to be paying parcel A, he's going to be reticent to lock selling parcel B. So Shimon, right, Reuben wants to buy parcel B. If I lock much of my complaint now, then when I say I'm not going to get parcel B, it's certainly, again, leaving aside parcel A, so that you know, it's not, I guess that's kind of so what could Reuben have done? If I live in the name of my God, so maybe, let's say, maybe what Reuben could have done is that before he purchases parcel B from Shimon, put aside the witness, say, I'm purchasing parcel B from Shimon. In a transaction, Shimon is saying that parcel B, right, borders on Shimon's other parcel, parcel A. Guys, I just want to tell you, Reuben is saying kind of like a sidebar. I'll tell you guys, we might not say it was still. But we're not saying anything now. He's going to lock down this transaction. Maybe that's what we should say. Make him no go, not fall. Like, let him go. God says, yeah, that'll work really well. Chavra is like, the Chavra is like. This is the event. Your friend has a friend. A friend of your friend has a friend. Which I will say is another way of saying, don't give up anyone's confidentiality. So the mice again, if Ruben says something so to people confidence, so the witnesses, they're going to say something, and what's going to happen? It's going to cause the whole transaction about parcel B to fall to jeopardy. Good. You measure this follows. So how do the cover is though? Who's that saw similar offer? So what says now this case? So in this case, there's a big so the case of here is so let's go back. So what's that? So this is just a unique case of here. So remember, let's go back. The Mishnah said that in a case where Ruben is now signs on a star, right, is a witness to a document where Shimon is selling parcel B to another party, but in parcel B, he's using parcel A, the contested parcel, as one of the borders. And Ruben signs on that document. Ruben gives up his right to further to any more parcel A. That's only true. Now Abai gives a clarification. That's true if Shimon was selling it to another party. But if Shimon was selling it to Ruben himself, so Ruben doesn't object to the use of parcel A as a broker. That's because Ruben doesn't want to fall into jeopardy the whole transaction. Fine. Just as I meant the original case. Who does something on? So this is like the Mishnah's original case. Right? So the original case. So I'm not going to say now. So Ruben is an aid on the star where Shimon is selling parcel B using parcel A as a border. So what happens? Here are the shepherds. So after the transaction happens, now what happens? So Ruben claims, by the way, parcel A is mine. But what happens? He shuffled, then he died. Ruben died. Right, so Ruben died. Right? Ruben died after raising the objection to the ownership of parcel A. Okay. What happens? The Okim Apotroph. We'll say, so now again. So after Ruben passed away, right? Either Ruben made provisions for this beforehand, or the Bezin appointed an apotropos. Now there's an executor of Ruben's estate. Okay. So also apotropos from Abaye, the apotropos came before Abaye. Amalei saw similar. So this is now what happens. The apotropos is coming. What is he coming? The apotropos is saying, listen, before Ruben died, Ruben claimed that he paid belonged to him. The apotropos says, I am coming to follow up on that claim. coming to follow up on that claim. Okay, Sabai said, listen, Sabai said, there's no claim. Isn't Mishnah? We already learned this case. In this case, Reuben signed on this document where Shimon used field A as a border identification for field C. And the Mishnah says, once you do that, you swear to relinquish all of your rights. Nothing more to talk about. To which the apotropos says, you're right. But if Amar Ihava Avason Yasmi Kayim Avaton Amar Halam Efarasisila. Very interesting. So let's say, so the apotropos says, no, Reuben is still alive, but Reuben would say was yes. I agree. I signed on a document where Reuben used field A as a border for field B. It's really the only thing I was agreeing to was that perhaps Shimon owns a narrow strip of field A. A narrow strip of field A. That's what maybe that's what he owned. That's what he owned. So he goes, anyway, Shabir Muhammad. So truth is that's a good so we'll say it's actually very interesting. Very interesting. That the claim over here is that Allah right? That if I go ahead, Rabbi Rothschild says, let's say I say I sold you a field, right? The field is mine, and the only thing I sold you in that field was a narrow strip, such a claim could actually be believed. So the Gemara is supposed to see what's happening over here. In other words, Reuben signed on this document that where Shimon was selling a field to another party, Shimon was selling field B. And field B was sold with a border identification of field A. Reuben signed on it. After Reuben signed on it, the transaction. And Reuben said, by the way, field A is mine. It was stolen from me by Levi. After that, Reuben dies. Apotropos comes along and tries to sell me up the affairs of the state. He comes to Abaye, and the Apotropos, listen, Reuben claimed the stolen field was his. Abaye says, that's fine, field A was his. Ben says, that's fine, but it's a Mishnah. Right? Reuben signed on that document. He signed that document using field A as a border to field B. He abdicated all rights to the field. To which the Apotropos says, no, perhaps if he was here, would claim all Shimon owned in that field was just a narrow strip. That's what he was identifying as the border, which Abaye says that's a good kind of. But ultimately again, you still should have to go and so in other words, now Abaye says the Apotropos, even if that's a good claim, so that's fine, but you still have to leave in Shimon's possession a narrow strip. So Havi Alei, Rivka B'Dikdei. So we'll say here's the problem. On the narrow strip, there was a line of palm trees, which made that narrow border strip pretty valuable. So the Gemara says, so Amar that this is great. Rabbi says, if Reuben was alive, he could claim, while it's true that I sold that border strip back to Shimon, I then subsequently repurchased it. Abaye says, the truth is up. Saying good. Don't have Yochanan in tongue, but I'm a chazak to lakati and then the so we'll say ultimately again, Reuben were to claim I sold it, but then I repurchased it. You believe? But we'll say the reason that is because this is Rashi says pesha asar wa pesha hiti. In other words, we'll say the case over here is look at Rashi now. One, here's the case, just to get the case in its totality. Now, man, the pesha asar pesha hiti. The me'achar sheish edim shaisa shalom. So I will say the case over here is where, remember, Shimon sold the field, Levi sold the field to Shimon. Right? And then again, it gets more complicated. But now what happens? So now you have Reuben, now you have Shimon, here we go. You have, right, Levi selling the field to Shimon, field A. Okay, fine. Now what happens? Shimon sells field B to another party. But in that transaction, he uses field A as a border identification. Ruvain signs on that shtar, that bill of sale that Shimon makes for the party of field B. Afterwards, what happens? Shimon. So Ruvain says, field A is mine. It was stolen from me by Laban and sold to you, Shimon. So remember again, strict halacha in the Mishnah is we don't believe Ruvain. You sign on that document, we don't believe. I will say, in this case, it's becoming a bit more complicated. In this case, what happens is, Ruvain goes ahead and claims the field is stolen from him. Not only that, Ruvain brings witnesses. He brings Eidos. That's Rashi's filling in the blank over here. He brings witnesses. That I will say, after he goes in and brings witnesses, what happens? He died. Okay, now what happens? Apotropos comes to Abaye. Apotropos says, I'm going to tell them these things. Abaye says, there's no. It's a Mishnah. We won't sign on the document. Apotropos says, but he has Eidos. Abaye says, it's more second. Essentially, the Eidos is negated in the face of what? Ruvain's signature. In other words, once Ruvain signs on that document, he effectively signs away his rights. Here's the Apotropos says, no. What you understand is, he actually went ahead and sold that, right? Sold Shimon a strip of land. Okay. So now what you're telling me is, when Ruvain signed the document, he wasn't giving his rights to the rest of the show. What was he acknowledging? That Shimon owns a strip of land of field A that borders on field B, but that in no way he's yielding his rights to the rest of field A. That's good. But Abaye says, okay, that's fine, so you can pursue your claim on the rest of field A. But what? But you have to go ahead and at least leave in Shimon's possession what? The strip of land. To which Apotropos says, but 1 second, he's making a story. Ruvain bought back the strip of land from Shimon. He brought it back. To which Abaye says, which is why? Because they say, this is the passion, also a passion with your right. Because the only way you knew about the sale was through Ruvain. Right? We didn't know about the sale. Without the sale, all you would have is what? It was saying that the mice of the field was stolen from Ruvain. So now Ruvain, so to speak, is telling us that a sale happened. Now Ruvain is further qualifying and telling us after the sale occurred, Ruvain bought it back from Shimon. It's a pesha, also a pesha in which case Ruvain, that's the Apotropos should be believed. It turns away that Ruvain, it turns out that Ruvain should really walk the years for it. As soon as he can prove his claim, why he should really be able to walk with the field of pressure. Including this from our practices. Right. Abaye, so what's the takeaway from the story? Abaye, I man to mock the Apotropos. So he had the Africa, this is the most of the entire takeaway is you gotta get an Apotropos like this. Right there. Let's say this is you gotta surround yourself with good people. Like this Apotropos Abaye says knew exactly what he was doing. Good. So let's say so for our purpose it's Allah for my son. How do we possibly? So this is a complicated case. That is a very complicated case. Remember again, let's say what we have essentially embedded in this case is a couple of different cases. Just because I'm just going to tell you quickly. Rambam Paskin, this is a Hilchos following the case on Eric Hes Zayin, Halachos Aleph and Beis. We don't have time for everything. I'm going to leave out the Talon case. I'm just going to give it. Here it is. Ruvain Shemach the Shimon.
What up, dude?
Ruvain sent the pigs. Ruvain sold the field to Shimon.
I know. My heart yearns for you, big dog. How are you, big man?
My heart yearns for you, big dog. How are you, big man?
And Ruvain was one of the witnesses on the shot. And what happens? Subsequently, right? Ruvain claims after a transaction occurs. Ruvain claims that what? That Allah Lamaisa, he stole it from me.
You gotta be
Shomro.
You gotta be careful. What happened?
You're gonna claim, yes, I signed on it because I wanted it to go from Levi to Shimon because I feel a better chance of getting it back from Shimon and from Levi. The Rambam says, case closed. Talk a little bit better. There's absolutely
So what happened?
talk about once you are party to the transaction, right? Once you are a witness on that
Okay,
shtar,
so
you have
why are you so mad at this person?
Why are you so mad?
Because they picked me up when I was drunk at 17. Just before my 18th birthday. They had a group. They got the group together for them to fucking all the fun. So they fucking started to take me up. I was very intoxicated.
Okay, but this didn't happen. I thought you said you met this person recently. This didn't happen. I thought you said you met this person recently.
But yeah, I just met someone high school.
Okay, I get that. Are you ready to lose? Okay, but are you ready to lose? Okay, I was on a podcast yesterday in Australia.
I was on a podcast last night from Australia.
Another one?
Right, that's answer number one. That's answer number one. So remember again, the reason, just so you know, in all seriousness, the reason why we're doing this is because remember.
Okay, are you ready to lose?
Started off. Of Adkar and Hanan.
Turker.
And remember
What are you talking about?
Started off with a discussion about Mizonos. That's what
I'm ready.
Now we'll say
Okay,
just
but
going through all of their
what's
movies. Watch this great case. Misha Allah from the DSS. We'll say, watch this case. Reuben goes overseas. Now Reuben goes to field. We'll say, interesting enough, the case of
No, you're not. I'm sending you an invite right now. You don't accept the invite within 10 seconds of me sending it, then we're done.
He had a right of way. He had a right of way with someone. So what happened? So Misha Allah from the DSS. So we'll say, now what's the problem?
Let's go.
He was acting away for a while.
9 ball, 1v1. Do you want trick shot, yes or no?
None of the neighbors are being forthcoming. Right? So no one has obviously no one can give up that.
Do you always want trick shot?
So I can
let's not do trick shot. I can win on the
figure out what is the
I don't think you win trick shot.
Dude, I already created the game, so we have to play trick
that
shot.
was the previously established right of way. The Hum same vote.
Do you win trick shot? You can win trick shot, right?
I don't think
You have
so.
a choice.
I don't think it,
Either go ahead
like, it doesn't count for a trick shot when you
or
are doing a break.
fly. Right, or fly. Figure out a way to
Because
fly.
it's too much of an advantage.
So again, say, listen, Ruben, you went overseas, you lost your information. The burden is on you. So pretty much, again, no one.
But you can win.
You can win.
You can win money with non-ball break.
I think so.
So my time is Rabban. Shabbat Gaon. I don't
I've won
understand. What's the logic of the Rabban? See,
Okay.
the reason the Rabban's position doesn't seem to
We'll play normal 9 ball after this.
If
You
there's
know,
one-
Riser
no,
has been in here every night. Recently, with his mom. We've been watching
I
documentaries.
had a right of way.
Oh, dude, that was amazing. Oh, it was a penalty? How is that a penalty? Right, I don't know.
Right of way agreements are like
Go hit the free ball.
the simplest concept.
So foul to get it.
Dude, what did I just tell you?
What did I just tell you?
What did I just tell you?
It's fascinating. What did I just tell you? Says, as far as I'm
I
concerned,
just told you something.
obviously he has a right of way.
And you're not paying attention.
Plus, he's not paying attention.
Are you not paying attention?
So there was a right of way.
Okay, now Riser
So I'm going to say,
and
listen,
his mom have been in here every night.
he's going to take the easiest path. So just
Basically, for the last week or so, we've been watching documentaries.
I gave it away a little bit. I'm sorry.
Is Riser's mom hot?
This is a landlocked field. There's 4
I think so. I've never seen her, but she said when she was a younger woman, she used to turn heads, so that's a thing.
And then he goes to number one.
That was amazing.
So it was my here. No.
All right.
Like number two.
9-ball normal, no trick shot.
Now the means each has the ability to reflect it to the other. So this is one of these everyone all right at like comedy exists, but Ruben can't.
Why is that?
Why is that? Particular party.
Melbourne Comedy Festival.
Dude, I heard something interesting about that. Oh, Melbourne has one of the top 10 largest casinos in the world. Is that correct? Yeah, it is.
I'm going next week. I'm gonna watch the World Finals.
Are you really gonna go?
Are you really gonna go? Want their own respective
I'm gonna look up
for that matter.
You're not gonna go.
It could be that.
You're not
It could
gonna
be this.
go. Quit bullshitting, dog. You're not going. You're not going to Melbourne. You know, you and I both know you're not going to Melbourne.
So people, where does my focus on? Listen to this.
No.
The Chad, the Asim Fah are bought. So watch this. I will say, let's say now all four fields, all four of the landlocked fields, or the landlocked fields, are all owned by one person, right? So you've got Ruben in the middle, and all four of the surrounding fields are owned by one person. They will say, what? Bought it from four individual owners. So in this case over here, we'll call him Shimon. Shimon now owns the four fields, which is Ruben's field. Shimon bought it from four independent people. Watch this. Sa'ad Mosavar Mikabah from down to Israel. Take that back. So I will say, listen, Ruben could go to Shimon.
Dude, what are your thoughts on how I'm playing right now?
What are your thoughts on how I'm playing right now? Oh, I own it, so give it to me.
I mean, don't you think it's amazing? Look at, oh, did you see that shot?
Oh, did you see that shot?
So you weren't paying attention.
Here's the deal. If you want to negotiate, we negotiate. If you're going to make problems, I'm going to return the land to the previous four owners.
Are you going to hit the ball, or are you just going to sit there and trip yourself up?
Ruben will never be able to get you right away. Why? Because each of them could reflect you to the other. So if you want to negotiate, you can negotiate. But if you're going to claim magiali, right, something's owed to me, I'll simply go ahead and return the land, and then you'll be stuck forever. Incredible. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry. Who Damalu? Tell us quickly. Finish up the sugya. Who Damalu? How a guy says, "Who Damalu? Tikla libras." Just listen to this. A guy is about to die. Before he dies, he says, "I want my daughter to inherit a palm tree." He's giving a palm tree to his daughter. Azal Yasmi Plaglimikase. So Ruben dies, and the sons went ahead and divided up the estate. Didn't give the palm tree to the daughter.
What did you say, sir?
You must listen.
You're not going to Melbourne, so like, don't even fucking talk about it. These are just musings of your mind. I know you're not going to follow through.
This portion,
Why wouldn't I go to
Because it's expensive, you're not going to perform. What other reasons do you want?
What other reasons? So in the case of the right of way really only does exist on one.
Dude, that was an amazing shot. Dude, that was an amazing shot.
That is right. That was an amazing shot.
No, just make it.
No, just make it.
Dog, Zoot, that was great.
That was great. So the Hajj of a little bit is to give her a palm tree, and then you go buy the estate minus the palm tree. That's what
I agree. I agree. I see it. It was terrible. Like, your ending shot was better than that shot. Alright, 8-ball.
Again, great week ahead of us.
No trick shots, son.
No trick shots.
This is our last.
I won the game and I get excited to see what the best shot. I'm disappointed to see with that. Like, if someone saw that was the best shot, with no substance to the game, they'd be like, that's a terrible game. I don't want to watch that. That's boring.
Alright, dude.
Terrible. For me. Terrible.
Dude, are you proud of that shot?
I just found out. I am shit.
Dude, you're doing really well. Is that ball gonna go in?
Oh my god. That has to be the best shot.
That was good.
That was good. You know that was just luck.
It was good.
Right. Would you like
Alright, fellas, say good morning.
Dude, you're dominating.
Let us
So I don't
begin.
know what you're talking about.
Hashem, great was it for us to enter into our last week of the second Subas. I want to go ahead and begin by thanking all of our sponsors for this morning. Should thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Tishrei, to thank Dr. Linda Weinberg, Sarah, Nikki Grants, Julio.
Are you serious? Did you see that?
Dr. Paul Weinberg,
Dude, you weren't paying attention again. Dude, this is our last game. You're not paying attention.
I swear it.
What happened to it?
It nearly went in. It nearly went in. And then it bounced.
Dude, that was amazing.
Yeah, but maybe next.
Are you fucking serious? You're playing out of your face.
That was Yeah, I knew it was just gonna like.
We'll see
What up,
begin very, very exciting. It was a very exciting Gemara in general, and also to recognize that it's always beautiful when it's like this doing some events. How it is that we're finishing in the Sefta.
I think Kurt Williams is going to come back, so he's going to be a very good. I think so. He would do us a lot of this.
Okay.
So we'll say let's today's daf is
Straight away, so
we are on the bottom of the Testament days, 108b.
How about dog with hat? How about dog with hat?
That's not going to do well because it's on Solana.
Someone promises money to his son.
Do you know what happens in crypto, Rabbi?
Tell me everything about it. Dude, you're playing so well.
So
What's up?
BNB was
Over. Finally won. I won. How did you win? How did you win? Dude, that's normally not a win for you. That was the best shot. That's normally not a win, though. Yeah, I looked this up. In this game, it's a win, but in a normal game, that's a loss. Yeah, but it has to be on a different shot in real play.
Essentially, I'm giving you nothing. Take the dirt that's on my shoe. Take the dirt. Now, in general, what this sounds like is the father-in-law is intentionally not giving the son-in-law.
What up, Tim?
So in 2020, was the salon. Everyone was gambling. Everyone was watching. And then in 2020, 2023, like 2023, 2023, late 2023 to early 25, everyone was watching Solana. Then Toy was saturated. Toy should have become the casino where you're trying to buy lottery tickets. So what happened next? People will eventually realize, oh, there's going to be a new change for us to gamble early run up a new casino. And that's probably what's going to happen with Sui, because there's no tokens in the chain. Then people will be like, no, this is faster, scale better than Solana and code and everything, just have more bots running.
And either he can make a choice.
And the transactions go faster, pretty faster, and the bots are faster, and then everything gets faster and faster. And then people move over that. It's right.
Yes.
Rabbi.
Yeah, so again, moving the law.
Why would I use the 2020 in 2027?
There might be some advantages to it.
Would you go out there and tell everyone to use the iPhone from 2020 in 2027? But then you if you could choose between an iPhone 2027 or 2020, which one would you choose?
Hold me in this marriage until I pay you or until I pay you. But again,
So I'm kind of looking at 2020. So we've got 2023.
She says, what do you want from me, man?
Okay, that's a legitimate.
So, hold me.
That's legitimate.
That's legitimate. Ruben, you didn't marry me, rightly soon. Or divorce me. So I say, so I'm Rabbi Rothschild.
Dude, did you watch Kill Tony last night?
Fundamental.
You know the answer to that.
Well, why didn't you?
Rachel's wanted to get married to Reuben. Rachel's father promises Reuben $10,000. Right, that's the junior, that's the dowry. Reuben does kiddush. Now, father-in-law says, I'm not giving you. I can't give you. I won't give you whatever it is. The point is, he's not giving. So now, I'm going to say, Reuben has every right to essentially hold Rachel in this marriage until her father.
From whom did you get an invite?
And ultimately, if he doesn't pay, so then Rachel's going to roll
My
over.
old man was like, hey, we wanted to reach out last time and say, whenever you're ready, we'd love to see you. Walking back to the Jet City, Adelaide City, closed gym.
Is that your favorite thing in the world?
They were opening soon.
How long has it been closed?
That's not right.
2 years.
Why has it been closed so long?
Why are you punishing me?
A year.
Why has it been closed so long?
Marry me or divorce me. Let's go. So what's these
Dude, why has it been? They what?
Does not reflect the following.
Place ran out.
It's a fascinating case.
The lease ran out? Isn't that like an important thing? So why are you still a member of that gym? Well, because like when you wanted to go in the last year, they weren't open.
A different twist over here. This price are according to the same case.
Wait, he's a member of the gym. Every day he's going to go, they're not open. Is that the
Father
the gym closed down. It's not.
that Reuben can't
I would be a member of
the Rachel has every right to say, I didn't default. Either marry me or divorce me.
They're not open anymore, and they just sent me to welcome back. But saying, welcome back. It's very confusing.
They might be opening them at the fall.
It doesn't matter. Change the subject.
It doesn't matter.
Change the
How you
subject.
live in Big Dog?
And the father defaulted. Everyone agrees that Reuben can't hold Rachel.
Yo, how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well.
What's new?
Conceptual level.
What's new?
Not too much, honestly. I'm just going through again. Never something that Chazal was. Why checking up?
Okay. We're just chilling. Did you watch Kill Tony last night?
Did you watch Kill Tony last night? I did not. No. I don't know. That's a question.
It's the largest live podcast in the world. Riser, do you know what Joe Rogan's number one?
Do you know what I know what Kill Tony is.
Okay. Dude, do you know what Joe Rogan's number one all-time stream podcast is?
Of what is right. Right? We all know not all
No. I'm asking Zoo. Zoo.
Right? Just because it's permissible does not
Is it
done.
Elon
So
Musk?
again,
Nope.
about
Turning
Nope. Guess again.
Say again, it's permissible for him
My guess would be
Donald Trump.
It's not Donald Trump. That's a great guess.
Donald Trump. That's a great guess. Is it right?
Nope.
Is it first one?
Of course it's not right.
No.
Of course it's not right. So just important.
No.
No.
Like,
No, I just looked it up. Oh, wow.
Even when everyone knows something.
Nope.
Is it Kanye?
No.
I don't say that
Is Taylor Swift?
Nope.
Should never be used as a mechanism as a tool.
I don't even think I've watched most popular thing. I've watched second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth most popular Joe Rogan stuff.
Name what the most popular one is.
Name what the most popular one is.
Yep, it's amazing. And then Bob Lazar was on yesterday, I want to say, and it's another amazing one.
Interesting.
No, he's not. He's like the opposite. He's a nuclear physicist.
Again, the full
That's interesting. That's interesting. I have not watched the most popular one, but I've watched the 2 through 6 of the most popular ones.
You better get on board. He doesn't have a lot to say on aliens. He has more to say on advanced propulsion technology that he worked on at Area 51.
Okay, so now what happens? Ruben's Mekadosh Rachel.
Why is that one so popular?
And then what happens?
Because people love that subject.
Rachel doesn't pay. Won't pay. Can't pay. Doesn't pay. So what's this? Watch this.
Yeah, it's probably like number 17.
So
What's the most watched Kill Tony?
I think the one with Shane Gillis and
I don't know, man. I'm on stage.
Shane Gillis and Adam Ray, where Shane Gillis dresses up like Donald Trump.
She says, no. When I said I'm going to give you $10,000,
What up, Pim?
So, Rabbi,
the same bank that has been bankrolling my life.
what do you know about that?
Dog, I'm an expert in it. I know that podcast guy who you did doesn't do podcasts with people if they're not in Adelaide.
He's going to take now. So she said, I said, I'm always going to pay you. But again, I automatically assume that
J. Michael?
father who's going to go out and pay for this thing. ועכשיו שאם אבא לא עושה עליי, מה אני יכול לעשות?
It's something like that.
Something like that. I guess, in other words, what Rothschild says, I'm not
They have been for self-control.
Okay, hasn't J. Michael been there?
Last day.
Either
Last day.
marry me or divorce me. So I will say, so I just want to point out
Okay, who runs it?
there's two versions of this machlokes. In our Mishnah's version, right, the machlokes case is where the father of the bride, the father of Rachel promised and then doesn't.
Jacob Jackson?
Chachamim say, okay,
Jacob Jackson.
Reuben can do like Reuben.
Is he funny?
Is he funny?
Like Admon says, you shouldn't say the English. That's my fault.
How's Chelsea doing?
But don't go and keep me in this focus.
How's Chelsea doing?
Like Grace now says, no. In that case where the father defaults, everyone agrees that Rachel should tell Reuben either divorce me or marry me. Is that you do? What's the matter?
Dude, how is Chelsea doing?
How is Chelsea doing? So the Chachamim say, listen, Rachel, you made a promise. Make good on the promise. If you don't make good on the promise, Reuben has under obligation towards
Dude.
You're holding
He's got 4 letters out here. He's got 4 letters out here. He's ready gaming and he's gaming and this thing is new. I don't even know what the third one is.
Dude, how is Chelsea doing?
How is Chelsea doing?
When is this so, says the Gemara?
Dude, if you're not going to answer me, I'm just going to watch a podcast, The Fighter and the Kid, which debuted today, which is the worst podcast in the world, hosted by the number one worst rated stand-up comic special on IMDb. It's the worst, and I'm obsessed with it because they're. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It is. The reason why I watch it is because the Reddit, the subreddit for it, is hilarious. It is the funniest fucking subreddit. It is. Everybody who's a comedian goes to that subreddit and lurks. Shane Gillis, Ari Shafir, Mark Norman, Matt McCusker, like everybody talks about it. They're like, have you ever been to that subreddit? And people are like, and they're like, yeah. Like, they're like, that's like there are like 200,000 people in there. That's like a medium-sized town that just sits there and hates on you all day.
What they say is, if you're hated, you must be somewhat different.
We'll see how that plays out in the Rambam, which is a little bit.
Dude, are you going to answer my question? How's Chelsea? If you don't know, that's cool. It's whatever.
If you don't know, that's cool. It's whatever.
She's in Melbourne. Okay. So then, how's she doing?
Fine.
Now we're going back to the Mishnah. Any
She's very wrong.
find that the Gamliel says,
Ali who?
that the Gamliel said halacha follows halacha.
Ali Dent? Is that the girl who is in the finals?
Yeah.
That's
Everyone in the Gamliel says the halacha follows the halacha follows Admo. Is that true? Just the Mishnah says well.
Dude. No, we're not talking about the soccer team. We're talking about a stand-up comedian from Australia who I give shit to. I talk shit. I don't talk shit about it. I think of her. I only can name like a few stand-up comedians in South Australia, which is like very a niche interest. But since Zoot is a stand-up comedian in South Australia, I routinely ask him how the different comedians are doing.
Gotcha. Ultimately, again, where?
So, Zoot, how's Chelsea? Dude, when's the last time you watched The Fighter and the Kid? Dude, get this. So, the guy who's been on the Joe Rogan Experience, number one all time, is Brendan Shaw. He's one of the hosts of The Fighter and the Kid. The other host is the guy who's been on the Joe Rogan Experience. The second host is Brian Callen. Brian Callen had a bunch of rape allegations within the Los Angeles Times, like in 2020 or something. And his career has absolutely spiraled since then. So he's coming to Irvine, and he can't sell tickets. They literally are giving tickets away at the Irvine Improv. You just have to pay the $2 minimum. And like the whole subreddit just thinks this is hilarious. If this guy weren't just absolute scumbag, I might consider going on a field trip to go see him. And if I could live share, that would be a field trip. But they're giving tickets away, literally, like they went from like $25. Go ahead.
They went from like 25 to just don't write.
Yeah, I mean that's like the big that's the big lesson, right? That's a good question. So they were adult women, but they were younger, and he cheated on his wife. He's just a total scumbag. And now he's run into the issue where his first wife, who he cheated on, divorced him and got huge alimony. She got like $25,000 a month and a mortgage. Or he has to pay the mortgage or something. And his second wife is this new young wife. He's got two families. It's draining him financially. And he just goes on this podcast and he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I can't sell tickets anymore. Nobody comes to my shows. When they do, they heckle me. It's hilarious. And then the other guy, Brendan Shaw, like potentially he's the worst rated stand-up special on IMDb and tied for the worst ranking on IMDb of anything. He's tied with the documentary Melania for 1.1 on IMDb. He's having issues that he bought a house and he moved from LA to Austin and he bought like a pretty big house, like a $3 million house. Not understanding that, and he was all excited to do it, all excited to make the move because Texas doesn't have state income tax. But he didn't realize that Texas has very high property tax. So he got hit with a huge. Okay, go ahead.
Dress up in like costume and then promote it on the podcast and pretend that you're that person for like 30 years. But like, so then no one knows it's him. Like, promote someone that's wearing a mask on the podcast.
No, I don't even understand what you're saying. What are you saying?
Why do we wear a mask and stand up again and try to re-eye
he's like a big UFC fighter. He's like 6'4", has tattoos all over. People would understand. People would know who he is. He has failed at a lot of different things that he's done, and that's why people love to shit on him. He was a failed football player in college. He didn't make it in the pros, but he lied about it. He didn't make it in the Arena Football League. Then he went to UFC. He did okay in UFC, but nothing great. And then the reason why he got popular is because he was around Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan would have him on his podcast, and then he would blow up. So they started his podcast like 14 years ago, which is a long time to have a podcast. It made huge amounts of money. These guys were on top of the world. Every time they put out a podcast, it had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of listeners. It was like, at one time, like a very big podcast. but the podcast market got extremely saturated. On top of that, people started to learn that these guys are scumbags. They're like not people who are motivational. They're just not. They're not good people. I wasn't listening to it then. Then in 2020, Brian Callen got hit with these rape allegations, so he had to leave the show for a while. And Brendan Schaub just continued to have to do the show without him. And then Joe Rogan moved to Austin, and they didn't get that bump of being on the Joe Rogan podcast as much as they once did. And then they were recognizing that their careers were like basically done, so they moved to Austin. And they went from this really nice podcast studio with like different rooms and like they had like all these studios to doing a podcast in a storage room, and it's like the sound is really bad. You can hear a train going by. You can hear the air conditioning. You can hear the people who are like working on cars next door, which has made it extremely entertaining because it's like what more could go wrong? Now they're gonna move out of the storage unit into a barn, and they're gonna make potential, and they might do it from there. So they don't have anything to talk about because Brian Callen's comedy career is dead. There's nothing to do in Austin. Joe Rogan occasionally has them on, but just for like fight companions when he has like 3 or 4 people on at once or whatever. And then he has, then they have like Brian or Brendan Schaub. They just got this show that debuted on Tubi, which is like a free streaming service. That is like it's supposed to be like Fast and the Furious kind of a deal, where he just like interviews people about their cool cars or whatever. But he has to fly to LA to do that. He's done 4 episodes. They're looking to see if it gets picked up. And the stunts that they're doing with people are like very dangerous because they're doing them on public streets. You're not supposed to do that, so they're actually like videoing themselves breaking the law. And then on top of that, like Brendan Schaub, his like one hope is that his kids go pro in sports. Now his kids are like 10 years old and 7 years old, and or maybe 6 years old, and he's already like they're going to be national champions, they're going to be Super Bowl champions, my kid's going to win a Cy Young, and it's like, dude, your kid is 10 years old, and he's really embarrassing Brendan Schaub. Like he gets thrown out of baseball games for like a 10-year-old game. He gets thrown out. He cusses the kids. Like he's just this big oaf, and this entire downward spiral is extremely entertaining. And then you go to their subreddit, and it's like dozens of just people shitting on these guys. There are literally multiple podcasts dedicated to just ripping on these guys. Every time they have a podcast, somebody puts up a new podcast and like, hey, I'm doing commentary on how stupid these guys are. It's just absolutely hilarious. So I love it. I get great enjoyment. There's that German word Schadenfreude where you get joy out of the sadness of others to some extent, and I would normally be like, I want everybody to do well on Earth. However, these guys have made careers about punching below them, shitting on other people, raping people, which obviously is a terrible thing, and just all in all being kind of bullied. And so now to see them, as the phrase goes, spiraling the drain, is kind of amazing. But I do want them to have like a comedy resurgence, or not a comedy resurgence because they're not really funny, but a resurgence. Like I don't want it to end. And also more importantly, like they have families, and I don't want their families to suffer. So I would like them to just have this be a valley in their career, but it's not looking like it. They're talking about ending the podcast. So anyways, I find it to be extremely. All right, with that, I'll be right back. It
was stolen from me, and you bought it illegally. Now again, he's not accusing Shimon of being complicit in the theft. He's just saying, Shimon, you think you're on the field is really low. Okay, fine. Now watch this. Reuven Ma'aral saw the Shem Yad Shimon. Lady Shema from the fall does the minute. Okay, so here's the case. Right? You've got Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Shimon is in current possession of a field that he bought from Levi. So Levi sold Shimon a field. Reuven says, Shimon, that field you have, that's my field. That's my field. Levi stole it from me and sold it to you. Okay, here's the wrinkle. The Mishnah says, Chasam alei. Chasam alei means, it'll say that when Levi sold the field to Shimon, they drew up a document, and one of the witnesses on the bill of sale is Reuven. So Reuven is a witness. Reuven is a witness on the sale document from Levi to Shimon, and now Reuven, who's one of the witnesses, says to Shimon, by the way, the field is stolen. They're actually Chasim. So we'll say, so now, obviously, right, what's going on exactly? Right, so Reuven is claiming to Shimon the field you bought from Levi is Levi stole it from you and sold it to you. And now we see that Reuven himself is one of the witnesses on the bill of sale from Levi to Shimon. So what's followed here? Admon Omer almost says it's not a problem. We say to Reuven, so obviously we ask Reuven, I don't understand. If the field, if Levi stole the field, then why would you agree to sign the shtar? Why would you agree to sell the bill of sale? Admon says there's a perfect answer for this. Hashini no achi, Harisha Kashin no. So let's listen to this. Because Reuven could say, listen, Levi is a gaslight. Right? Levi is a thief. Actually, he's a strong guy. I knew I never had any chance of getting that guy back. Shimon and Levi, you're using up a guy. They're using up a guy. Sadly, if I could get the field away from Levi to you, Shimon, now I have a better chance of getting back my stolen field. That's why I agreed to sign on the contract. For the sale, so I could get it out of Levi's hands into your hands. Incredible. But also, by the way, it's reality TV. So I'm just saying, like, this is so great. This is incredible. This is now, listen to this. The Chum say, no, come on, cut it out. It is if so. Well, what are you talking about? Reuven, again, if you come forward with a claim that the field that Shimon Kong has stolen from you, that's fine. But when I said, once you're once you're a planet party, but once you're a witness to the transaction, you've lost any right to claim that this property belongs to you, even as it's so. There's a thing like Rashi. Actually, even as so, the whole of the chasam, hold the she'im la isafah. What is that? Essentially, what that comes saying is like this: the act of signing on a document, or the act of witnessing a document of sale, transaction, sales transaction, is effectively saying what? This field has nothing to do with it. Giving up any rights to the field. So they will say fundamentally not like this. On the flip side, I saw a similar affair. Sorry, not on the flip side. I saw a similar affair. So let's look at this case. Look at that. I saw a muhsar for similar affair. Shalom machal Reuven zeh ha'or ala ela li'ish affair. היה בוחר סדר מצד זה, ומיצה לו ארבעות שרי הסדר. חסר בו מיצה בוני סדר שלי, ועשה סדר שלי. Let's say I watch this case. So let's say for a moment that Reuven owns the disputed field. Right? I'm sorry, Shimon. Right? So Shimon owns the disputed field. So now, what does Shimon do? Shimon sells another piece of property. Right? So let's say now, let's call the disputed field A. Right? So same case. Right? Reuven bought the field Shimon bought the field from Levi. Right? Then there's Reuven. Reuven, of course, is claiming that Levi stole the field from him and now sold it to Reuben. Sold it to Shimon. I'm sorry. One more time. Okay, so we'll say so again. Remember, Levi sells a field to Shimon. Right? In the back of all of this, we have Reuben claiming that Levi really sold that field to him. And now, all right, stole last night. Right? Levi sells the field to Shimon. Good, beautiful. Reuben now is claiming that the field that Shimon lost